Okay, so this is the fourth video, probably the final video before this group starts. And I thought I should, as I was saying in the previous video there, give you a sense of what we're more likely to actually do in the space, because we're not necessarily going to be looking at some of the things like anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, low self-confidence, stress, feeling stuck in life, being in that place of there's got to be more to life than this, no sense of purpose, meaning, value, etc. We're not necessarily going to sit and kind of wallow in that stuff, because it can serve us without a doubt, but there's different ways of being. So those things in a sense are symptoms. They're symptoms of how our society is and the ways that we're living. And I don't really want to work with the symptoms because it's less fruitful than going to the causality. And the causality is because of the way, as I'm saying, we are living and the way our society is, and the fact that we don't have a sense of purpose, meaning and value in many cases. And so then it's kind of given that, because one of the models I use, or methods I use and will use in this circle, in this group, will be the heart intelligence method, what we call the 4 pillars of clarity. And so what we do is we look at what's moving as a psychological disturbance, and then we run that through. If we end up coaching, that is, we won't necessarily end up coaching everything, but if somebody's takes space for something that's moving and they want it coached, we'll run it through the 4 pillars of clarity. And the 4 pillars of clarity are: what do you want given that? Whatever it is that you've brought into the space as a disturbance, what do you want given that? And then pillar 2 is: what's your fear if nothing changes? So both of these things are things that are trying to get us to move. What we want is where we're trying to get to, and what's your fear? Let's say your concern if nothing changes. That's us trying to find something in the boiler room, the furnace, the thing that's urging us and pushing us to move. So both of these things are trying to get change to happen. Now, if there wasn't something holding us back, that change would already have happened. But because we're sitting in a disturbance and we've not moved, we've not made progress, obviously something's holding us back. So that's then the pillar 3 question. So what do you sense is holding you back? And again, we take our time with that, and the rest of the group holds the space to help keep that person present and embodied and centered down into sensing the answers to these questions. And the group will give feedback to the individual if the group isn't really feeling that person's in their truth, and they're just in their kind of mindsets and maintaining cycles and avoidance and neuroses and conditionings and saying what they think they want to say, or saying what their neurological defense system will allow them to say, or saying what they think they maybe should say, or what everybody in the room, they project that everybody in the room maybe wants them to say. All of these psychological things that affect us in relation to our environment. And so that was the pillar 3 thing. Question. So if we then look at the scenario on a set of scales, you want the scales to tilt the other way, to make the movement. So what is it we need? What do we need to put on this side to tip the scales? And that's the 4th question with regards to the 4 pillars of clarity. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's all done and dusted and sorted. It just means you've got more clarity around what's actually going on. It means you've gone into this psychological disturbance, and you've kind of spent a bit of time in there, and others have kind of held you in there and helped you to be in there, and you've kind of weeded it out a bit, and you've come up with some answers, and gradually you'll make some movement with regards to that. But as I say, that doesn't mean to say that's what we're going to do with everything that everybody says. So the space itself, it'll probably be a circle. We'll all sit in circle on chairs in Enlighten and the Bonnygate, and it'll be 7 till 9. It's looking likely to be the Thursday night, and we'll come together, we'll settle in. I don't know whether you guys will want a cup of tea or whatever to ease into the space, and have a wee chat and whatnot, give people 5-10 minutes to arrive, and then I'll open the space and I'll probably do a bit more explanation over and above these videos, and just allow things to settle in a bit and people to get a feel for each other. But the actual heart intelligence circle itself, which is the main method I'm probably going to use in these circles, and I've been doing for about 10, 12 years or something now, we'll do what's called a tuning. So I'll invite you to get still. So it's kind of like meditation, mindfulness, etc. Getting present. And so what we're doing there is we're taking time to settle down into ourselves, move away from what's moving by way of thoughts and whatever, our world outside of that space. And we're still down into ourselves, because then there's room for other stuff to get in, rather than this thing being bursting with activity. And that may only be a couple of minutes, and we'll still ourselves down and down and down, just to take a break in some cases from running life and always thinking and always being busy and such like up here. And so then we'll move on to the check-in. And in the check-in, we just go around everybody that's in the circle and invite you to voice what's moving in the present moment. And that, in a sense, is a training for us to learn to be in the present moment rather than be like caught up in the past or caught up in the future, which is where the anxiety lies, and worrying about what's ahead. It teaches us how to be in the present moment by tracking. So, if, for instance, an example would be, and we have a kind of format for that, so you can go anywhere in the world and you'll get the same system, the same structure, which in the kind of formal structure of that, because we're always working with masculine and feminine energies, and the masculine container that helps us to feel safe is then along the lines of, I would like to check in, can I have your attention please? And when we do that, I want us to mean it. I want us to be really wanting everybody's attention, and that can be difficult for us to ask for everybody to give their attention. So straight away there's something that's moving for us as a disturbance. You then will get a response from the guys in the group, probably just a yes, but again that matters. And then you look around the group and you make eye contact with a few people. And I'm going to be soft with this. I mean, you might not do this initially. You maybe just go straight into it and it's fine. But with a bit of time, you'll develop the capacity to do this. And that also develops our capacity to, as I say, to be present, to be still inside, to move from all of that disturbance that goes on when we initially start doing it, to being able to hold it and hold ourselves in relation to other people, and in particular men with other men, rather than do what we can often do, which is go into our defences, and who's the alpha male, and who do I feel safe with, who do I not feel safe with, and all the things that go on within men when they come together. And so we'll then do like a tracking exercise, which is along the lines of what's moving for me. And again, there'll be a lot of fluidity to this and freedom in this space, but the general kind of structure is to contemplate, use our mind. So again, this is mindfulness, to track what's going on within ourselves. Am I warm? Am I cold? Am I comfortable? Or whatever. So what's moving for us in our physicality? What judgments do we have about that? What's moving for us emotionally? What's moving for us mentally? Are we feeling stimulated and alive and feeling the vitality of being in the space? And even where do we feel it? So if we feel anxious, so something that's quite typical is people will start with this and they'll say, I'd like to check in, can I have your attention please, etc. And one of the first things they'll say is, wow, God, I'm panicking, my heart's going like the clappers. I was fine up until I asked to take space, but now my heart's going like the clappers. And if people are struggling to do the check-in, for instance, I'll maybe come in and do a bit of guidance. I might just jump straight into pillar one. What do you want given that? You know? And then you're contemplating that. What do I want given that? Well, I want to just kind of take a moment to settle down. And in saying that, you'll probably take a moment, you'll probably settle down. And so a lot of the space, as I'm saying then, isn't about looking at the stuff I put in the first few videos It's about changing the way that we are so that we don't function in the ways that I spoke about in the first few videos. So we'll go around the room doing the check-in, and what we do at the end of the check-in is we talk about all of the stuff that's moving, and then we go to, given all of that, this is what I want. And again, that's back to the basics of heart intelligence, which is being present to what's moving and then contemplating what do I want given that. And again, most people will go to some heady concept, again, for the reasons I gave earlier, the expectations of what you should want, or you might just say something because you just want to get out of the check-in, because it's been more difficult on you than you thought, or because you feel you're taking up too much space and you don't deserve that amount of space. There's all sort of psychology goes on, and we'll help you to actually connect to what you do want rather than what you might initially say you want or think you want, and that will come as a pop-up. That will come from a different place within you in the context of it will inform you, and you'll probably be quite surprised, oh my goodness, that's what I want, wow. And we'll feel it, and we'll know that you're in your truth. So once we've done the check-in, we might not even manage more than that in 2 hours with 10 guys that are new, and there'll be all sorts of avoidances and distractions, and the ego is often quite resistant to this kind of transpersonal development that we're going to be doing, and so it will sabotage, and there'll be all sorts of tricks and tactics and games that will go on, and it's absolutely fine. Should we get past that, we can go in all sorts of directions. The most typical one would be that one person, I would open the space and say, right, does anybody want to take space to speak more about something that is causing them psychological disturbance at this time in their life, either something that's moving for them right now in the room, or to do with their life. And again, it's a very confidential space. At the start of the evening, I'll put a set of agreements in place to do with how the space runs and how we all behave in the space, but most particularly about confidentiality. And even with that confidentiality clause there, I would still suggest that people don't fully open up and push that confidentiality to its limits. I certainly wouldn't feel safe to open up to a bunch of strangers that I've just met for that evening, and I really do not suggest anybody else does either, until people really get a feel for the spirit of what I'm offering here and how much it matters. And even in the context then of somebody asking you to maintain confidentiality with regards to what they're sharing, that's developmental for you, because are you going to have the capacity to go home and not share some of what's been said? Because you want to share, partly because you'll have found it intriguing and interesting, and somebody will be asking you how was it, and you're going to want to share and answer that, but you still have to maintain that confidentiality, and that's developmental for us. That helps develop our morals, our ethics, our principles, who we are as a man, who we stand to be in the world, and all that stuff's very developmental for us. It's good for us. So that's a wee bit of a gist of how the space will actually work, what will happen in the room. Once we get to, I don't know, maybe 8:45, let's say, given if there's maybe 10 of us, we'll move into closing. And the closing, again, has a formal structure, again, so you can go anywhere in the world and do a heart intelligence circle, and you'll know what you're getting. And again, it's a formal structure of, I feel ready to close, and you might say, I don't feel ready to close. If that's your truth, that's what we want. But it's also more about, I'm ready to close this actual space this evening, and I'm not boiling because of something whoever said. But it still might be, I don't feel ready to close. You may be having the time of your life, you don't want to close. You've been hungry for this kind of connection all your life, and it's now you've got it, and you absolutely don't want to close. However, we will close, and you'll manage somewhere or other to say, I feel ready to close, or I don't feel ready to close, and then something you're grateful for. And it's not about being grateful for, it'll be whatever it is. I don't want to complicate things. But again, hopefully it'll be something kind of really deeply meaningful to you, not something meaningful to you. I'm grateful for the connection. I'm grateful for a space where guys can come together and talk kind of meaningfully and actually say something rather than how you doing? Oh, I'm fine. All right, aye, bro, whatever, and not actually even connect, not even be interested in how the other is. We just say it. How you doing? Oh, I'm fine. But actually be there for each other and be connected to each other. Without, I mean, a lot of these groups, people think you come into the group and you've got to cry your heart out and share all your sub stories and everything. That's not at all what it's about. It's about being present, being mindful, kind of honouring each other's boundaries, being in your truth as best you can. That's quite tricky. And doing this kind of, as I say, transpersonal development, so that you're not just functioning at the level of who you became due to childhood, but you're now in a new environment with men that are wicking each other forward, so that we then grow into being growing to being men in a sense, rather than kind of boys and adult bodies, and we're functioning more psycho-spiritually than psychologically, because that's what most of us are doing at the moment. The psyche or soul of who and what we are is mostly being run by our thoughts, logic, reason, all the cognitive stuff, because that's how we get trained to be in life. And working or functioning psycho-spiritually is different. It's more about that presence, the embodiment, the mindfulness, the being able to sense what's going on in ourselves and be still and be in our truth in relation to ourselves and in relation to the other. So there's an awful lot of stuff we're actually going to be doing. I hope this video is not too informative or overwhelming, because I will take it very gently. I'll take it at the pace of what happens in the room. We may come together on the first night and do none of that, because nobody's actually ready to do it. I'm quite sure everybody essentially will want to do it. Once you get a taste of the stuff, you will want it, you'll be hungry for it. But that doesn't mean to say you'll be ready to do it on the first night. And my job as a facilitator is to meet the energy that's in the space at the time and not be caught in my own agenda, because then I'm not facilitating. I'm just Billy Granting everybody. So hopefully, some of you will come along and see what it's about. If you need to spend the first night just chatting about it and getting to know each other, etc., that's what we'll do. I'll meet you where you're at, and we'll take it gently, and we'll see where it goes. I mean, I know where it's going to go, if you can stay in the space, and how it will feed you and serve you. Particularly, as I was saying there, in relation to the fact that we go to school, we learn, we leave school or university, college, whatever, and go into the adult life, and we don't really have the kind of education that I'm offering here and the kind of growth work that I'm offering here, the developmental work that I'm offering here in society. It's not happening. I think I might still be the only psycho-spiritual coach in Scotland, having completed my training in 2010, I think, down in London. And we need so much more of this in our society, partly also to stop the immature kind of masculinity that's out there in general, and even in government we can see that people say we've got a patriarchy, or have had quite a patriarchy, although there's more women coming in there now, but it's actually very, very punitive. I think the word might be a putriarchy, I'm not sure, but it's very immature and punitive, and they squabble like a bunch of 5-year-olds, and they're the ones running the country, and it's absolutely shocking and ridiculous. And all this nonsense with Brexit and all the rest of it, and what I'm about then is also the kind of Scotsman that's in me is connected again to the whole flower of Scotland, to be a nation again. We can still rise now, and the line that's in there about what's that again? And sent him homeward, King Edward's army. But okay, so at the time it was maybe about Scotland, England, but in reality, at a higher level, it's about the oppressor and the oppressed. And that's what this whole thing about Brexit is about as well, and independence. And so this stuff, again, it's about us rising against that oppression of the way that we'll become conditioned to be, because we're not able to connect to a level that's higher. And that's what I'm offering, is to connect to a level that's higher and draw the whole lot of us forward, so that we didn't have the society and the demise that it's in. So I'm going to stop. That's quite a lot I've given. And who knows, I might do another video once I look at this one and see all the stuff I've missed. But if any of this resonates with you, please come along. You'll get a lot out of it. I'll guarantee you'll get a lot out of it. And it's what's missing in our society, and we need so much of this to make the change that's necessary to stop us from just in this constant entropy and demise. So, bye now.